Welcome to Staffworks Explained. If you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. In this video, we'll be giving an update of Lamu Port, where Lamu Port mid-year performance we say signals a new phase in regional trade. Major infrastructure projects are designed with a long-term vision. Their success is measured not only by completion of the physical assets, but by the extent to which those assets stimulate economic activity, attract investment, and reshape trade patterns. Here in this project update, we examine the latest operational performance of Lamu Port, which is a flagship component of Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia LAPSSET corridor. Following the release of its mid-year throughput figures, we analyzed the port's operational performance against previous years. We explored the economic and geographical factors that may be influencing cargo growth, as well as assess what the latest data means for the project's long-term objectives. By the end of June 2026, Lamu Port has handled 108,454 20-foot equivalent units, TEUs, which is more than double 55,697 TEUs recorded during the entire of 2025, achieving a 100% increase over the previous annual benchmark within just 6 months. Marks one of the strongest operational performance since the port commenced commercial operations. While these figures represent a significant milestone, they are also an indication that the project is entering a more mature phase where infrastructure investment is increasingly translating into commercial utilization. From a project management perspective, infrastructure assets typically experience gradual growth during their early years of operation. Ports require time to attract shipping lines, establish logistic networks, secure investor confidence, as well as integrate into existing regional supply chains. Initial performance is therefore rarely an accurate measure of long-term potential. Instead, sustained increases in cargo volumes often reflect improvements in operational efficiencies, stronger stakeholder confidence, and gradual development of supporting infrastructure beyond the port itself. Several factors may be contributing to the upward trajectory. First is continued expansion of the regional trade across East Africa. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area, coupled with growing intra-Africa commerce. This has increased demand for logistics alternatives for that matter, capable of reducing congestion while improving connectivity between inland markets as well as international shipping routes. Lamu Port was conceived as one such gateway, complementing existing maritime facilities along the Kenyan coast rather than replacing them. Another important consideration is Ethiopia's growing role in regional trade. As Africa's second most populous country, Ethiopia depends heavily on the external maritime gateway for its imports and exports. Historically, most of its cargo has transited through Djibouti, creating concentration risk associated with relying on a single corridor. The LAPSSET corridor was designed to provide an alternative route, improving supply chain resilience while offering additional capacity for future trade growth. Although the corridor is still being developed in phases, increasing cargo throughput at Lamu Port may indicate growing commercial interest in diversifying regional logistics options, particularly as road infrastructure linking northern Kenya continues to improve. Long-term industrial development plans associated with the corridor also provide the context for the port's growing importance. The LAPSSET master plan envisaged Lamu as more than a conventional seaport. It includes proposals for industrial zones, logistic parks, special economic zones, highways, rail connections, pipelines, and an oil refinery intended to create an integrated economic corridor linking Kenya with Ethiopia and South Sudan. With several of these components remain at different stages of planning and implementation, continued growth in port activities strengthen the commercial fees for complementary investment that depend on reliable maritime access. Operational improvement within port itself may also be influencing performance. As ports mature, operators typically refine cargo handling processes, optimize vessel turnaround times, improve coordination with customs agencies, and enhance digital systems that facilitate cargo clearance. These incremental efficiencies gains can significantly increase throughput without requiring immediate expansion of physical infrastructure. Consistency in service delivery also encourages repeat businesses from shipping lines seeking predictable and cost-effective logistics solutions. Broader development within global shipping industry may also have created favorable conditions. Continued adjustment to international shipping routes, evolving supply chain strategies following recent global disruptions and efforts by logistics companies to diversify gateway ports have encouraged greater interest in emerging maritime hubs. While there's no publicly available evidence directly linking recent geopolitical tensions, including instability in parts of Middle East, to Lamu Port, latest throughput figures, periods of global uncertainties often prompt shipping companies to reassess routine strategies and strengthen supply chain resilience by expanding the range of ports through which cargo can move. Such developments provide important context, but should not be interpreted as direct causes of the port's recent performance. Equally significant is the confidence demonstrated by the private sector. Cargo owners, freight forwarders, as well as shipping companies ultimately determine whether infrastructure is commercially viable. Their willingness to utilize port reflects assessment of efficiency, reliability, connectivity, and overall logistics cost. Rising throughput therefore represents more than an operational statistics. It is a practical indication that market participants increasingly view Lamu as a viable component of regional supply chains. Nevertheless, sustaining this level of growth will depend on continued investment beyond the port gates. Modern ports derive much of the competitiveness from efficient hinterland connections. The continued development of highways, rail link, inland logistics facilities, as well as cross-border trade facilitation measures will be critical if Lamu Port is to realize full aspirations envisioned under LAPSSET corridor. Close coordination between government agencies, private investors, regional partners, among others, will remain essential in ensuring that growth in maritime activities is matched by improvements across a wider transport network. Viewed in isolation, surpassing an entire year's throughput within 6 months is an impressive operational achievement. Viewed within the broader context of regional infrastructure development, however, it represents something more significant, evidence that a project conceived to transform trade across East Africa is beginning to demonstrate measurable commercial momentum. Whether this pace of growth can be maintained will depend on continued infrastructure investment, policy consistency, as well as market confidence. Even so, the latest figures suggest that Lamu Port is steadily transitioning from a strategically important infrastructure asset into an increasingly active gateway for regional and international commerce. So thank you for reaching this far. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. You can also watch other videos that you have done on different topics, including ports in Africa and East Africa. So let's meet in the next one.